where I need to go. That was the case for me today. Didn't realize it until I was like leaving. I was already leaving a little bit late. And I get out to my garage and I look and I go, oops.
Oh, no.
I forgot to plug in the car last night. So I had just under what I needed, just like literally exactly to get here. And that's if everything goes exactly right. So I had to charge it for like an hour, left super late, but we got a bunch of stuff done while I was waiting and we're good to go. We're ready to rock.
Yeah, we're
It's
fine.
a Friday. We got donuts. It's party time. The Sharks have won 3 in a row.
I don't even know.
Busted out my Sharks sweater.
You did?
Yeah, man. I think I've worn this once in my life. Well, they brought the because so I was a big Sharks guy when I was a kid, because that was it was the A's season would end, and then the Warriors were around a little bit, but for most of my life the Warriors were terrible, and so by November the season's over, and the Sharks were really good. So by the time April, May rolls around, the Warriors are long gone, and the Sharks are there. So, I was super dialed into hockey back in the day. But I prefer basketball. Like basketball is a sport I have always liked more. And then right as the Sharks, the Sharks and Warriors were really good there at the same time for a minute. They were both in the finals in 2016. That didn't go great for either team. But since then, the Sharks have been not as good, and the Warriors are really good, obviously. But I'm trying to get back into it. And they went away from their 90s uniforms, and they went to like this different shade of teal with a new logo. And then last year they brought back the kind of throwback look with the throwback logo and the lighter teal. And so when I was like, hey, that's a good excuse to get the sweater. That'll get me back into it. I got to dip my toes in.
All right.
As we go through this rebuild with our San Jose Sharks, who have now won 3 games in a row. Salute to them. We're not talking Sharks hockey today.
No.
Just FYI, everybody.
I kind of wonder if the Sharks aren't going to be the beneficiary of the Oakland A's and for that matter, the Warriors moving across to San Francisco, if they're not going to get a little bit of a bump from just like people who like want to bring their kids to a game. Yeah. And like, okay, well, we got to bring him to something. Let's go ahead and do this. Mm-hmm. Or maybe even, the soccer, go to the Earthquakes or something down there. But then
sure,
that's the same dude. So I don't think that's a great idea.
I don't think anyone's going to Earthquakes games.
No.
If you're anti John Fisher, you're definitely not. I mean, maybe they might, but the thing with San Jose is like a trek. If you're anywhere that's not in the South Bay, it's like, it just takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
There's always like some traffic. There's always construction. That's why I don't go to a ton of Niner games, because I can do everything I need to do from home. And it's a long drive. Even you think like late at night, primetime game, you're getting out of the stadium at, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm going to cruise home. Nope. 2 hours. You're getting stuck. At least for me, where I live. Much further for anybody here in Sacramento or up by where you live. Let's get to the NBA. We had a little bit of news last night. A couple of things not necessarily pertaining to the Kings, and then one thing that does pertain to the Kings, who play the Atlanta Hawks tonight in Atlanta. We'll dive into that as well for you. Fantasy Friday today. It is back. Faraz Siddiqi of Upper Hand Fantasy will be joining us at 10:30. Get your questions in on the Elk Grove Kia talk line at 916-909-1320. That's 916-909-1320 on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Or, of course, you can hit us up in the chatty house at youtube.com/ESPN1320, twitch.tv/ESPN1320. Salute to everybody hanging out in there. We appreciate y'all. In the NBA last night, my guy Paolo Banchero. I say my guy, like I'm the only person who thought he would have a great year. Paolo Banchero tore his oblique. He is out indefinitely. I think they said 4 to 6 weeks they're going to reevaluate him.
Yeah, it's not good at all.
What an odd injury.
It happens, though. I mean, I remember Darren Collison tearing an oblique when he was here.
I just always associate oblique injuries with baseball. Like that's where the oblique injuries happen, because it's a lot of twisting.
I think Fox had an oblique strain and like quickly was able to return right away.
Yeah.
But like a torn oblique is a major.
It sounds horrible.
Oh yeah, it's not. Well, it just means you can't move very. Like your core is all messed up.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Balance. Yeah,
that's what I was saying. So Paolo Banchero out long term. What that means for the Orlando Magic, that's tough. He was their bona fide 1A dude.
Mhm.
We'll see how the season plays out for them. Again, he will be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. Hopefully, he makes a full recovery and is back looking like an MVP candidate again once he does return to play. Speaking of MVP candidates someday, Victor Wembanyama last night. This line feels fake. Like I looked at it and I saw it. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no way this is right. Like you wrote this down wrong. 25 points, 9 boards, 7 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks. That's a ridiculous stat line.
Yeah, he's incredible, and he's off to a really rough start to open the season. His shooting numbers have been way low. His 3-point numbers, I think he's shooting like 19% from 3.
Yeah, going into last night.
Everything was really, really ugly. And then all of a sudden he just had a game. And I think he's been dealing with a lot of new faces, a lot of like the growing pains that are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the one good thing about bringing in Chris Paul is his teammates love him. Everyone else does not like him, but his teammates love him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are guys in the league that are universally liked, which like Kyrie Irving is a guy who, strangely enough, while we can make our flat earth jokes or whatever about him, universally loved.
His Q rating is very high among NBA players.
Amongst the NBA players. That's not the same with Chris Paul. But his teammates know how good he is and know how he can make them better, and they buy in. And so, you know, while they may not love all the antics either, he certainly is probably the best possible thing to take Victor Wembanyama to the next step and to like set up his career for greatness. I mean, even look at DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton got paid because of Chris Paul. Like now here he is in Portland, and he's just not great again. But the years he played with Chris Paul in Phoenix, the dude just knows how to set up a guy and how to teach on the floor. And he slows the game down in a way. I think this is just like once we see the training wheels come off, Victor Wembanyama is just going to be incredible.
Yeah, that entire Spurs team, it'll be interesting to see how this affects their long-term trajectory. If this Chris Paul year or half year, depending on if he gets traded or not. But if their time with Chris Paul dramatically alters Victor Wembanyama or Jeremy Sohan or whoever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to impact Harrison Barnes, but it certainly is one of it's one of those players that just, again, he's a teacher. And if people are willing to listen and are sponges, and I know that Wembanyama is, it could pay huge dividends. Kyle, I was looking that there's this crazy stat. So Victor Wembanyama, this is the second time he's had a 5x5, right? So a 5 25 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 blocks.
Yeah, so you have at least 5 in all of those categories.
So, and I don't know how many times it's been done total, but I can tell you that there are only 2 players outside of Victor Wembanyama who have ever had a 5x5 more than one time in their career. Do you know who those players are, Kyle?
Okay, I'm going to take a guess. We've got music for this, actually.
Oh?
There we go. All right. Victor Wembanyama is the 3rd player in NBA history with multiple 5x5 games in his career. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
It's only been done 23 times ever.
And 2 other players have done it multiple times. David Robinson?
No.
David Robinson did not do it multiple times.
I think he only did it once.
Okay.
But he has had the quadruple double with blocks.
Oh, okay. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Tim Duncan.
No.
Oh, Tim Duncan. I got 2 buzzers here. Oh wait, hang on. I got buttons. This is why we have a producer.
I like that.
Did Michael Jordan do it?
Nope.
Michael Jordan did not do it. All right.
And neither did LeBron James.
Okay, LeBron James did not. That was going to be my next guess. Dwayne Wade.
No.
All right. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
No.
Larry Bird.
No.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes.
Hey, there it is. That's one.
The all-time leader in 5x5s was 6 total in his career. 6.
He has, what is that, almost 25% of all the 5x5s ever?
Yeah, because I think there's only 23 5x5s ever. Yes.
That's ridiculous.
So he has that many. And the crazy thing there too is Wembanyama's in his second year. I mean, if he just has one per year and he plays 12 years in the league, he will double the all-time record for 5x5s.
Golly.
Yeah, just wild.
A couple of guesses here from the chatty house. Dwight Howard?
Nope. Somebody got it, but I think they may have cheated.
Andrei Kirilenko?
Yes.
Wow. I never would have gotten there.
Andrei Kirilenko had...
What a ridiculous player.
3. Yeah. Andrei Kirilenko is one of the most undervalued. Man, he's so good.
I don't think a player's career retrospective has ever been more damaged by a single play than Baron Davis's dunk against him. In the 2007 playoffs.
Yeah, that was wild.
Like that's what he's known for. If you walk out to general, if we went to Golden One Center or Chase or the Garden, wherever, and we went, hey, what do you know Andrei Kirilenko for? Like describe Andrei Kirilenko. Nobody's gonna be like, he's the guy that had multiple 5x5. Oh man, he was ahead of his time. Just versatile, switchable defender, unbelievable. He could score. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah,
I was gonna be like, oh, that's the guy Baron Davis dunked on. That's tough.
It's
a tough go for our guy Andre.
I think you're always looking for him, right? The next Andrei Kirilenko. Again, there's been Ben Simmons.
You never hear that though.
Yeah, but you should be.
I know. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a great shooter, although he had moments later in his career where he tried to get better. The Kings tried to get him. A bunch of teams tried to get him out of Utah multiple times. But long, athletic, just a good passer, a good rebounder, fierce defender. Yeah, I loved watching Andrei Kirilenko play.
He was third in Rookie of the Year voting in 2001, 2002. He was the third and sixth man of the year voting in 02, 03. 13th in MVP voting in 03, 04. He was an all-star and top 5 in DPOY voting. Top 10 DPOY finish, top 3, 13th, 16th, 9th and 6th man of the year voting in 08, 09. For his career, I'm gonna eliminate his last 2 years where he played in Brooklyn for 52 games. He averaged 12, 6, and 3, 1.4 steals, 1.9 blocks.
Oh yeah,
ridiculous.
And he could play the small and the power.
Yeah,
just so incredibly versatile. And
he's forever just the guy who got dunked on by Baron Davis. That's
funny. Jeremy Sohan reminds me a little bit of this, but not quite. I mean, he's not going to reach this height. I mean, there's a year where Kirilenko averaged 3.3 blocks per game.
That's ridiculous.
As a small forward.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What a fun player.
He was a fun player. And so 3 times, Andrei Kirilenko. Yep.
We would have sat, I don't know. I don't want to say we would have sat here all day because I would have gotten there eventually.
Okay.
If you had said, we're dedicating 2 hours to you figuring this out, I would have gotten there eventually.
We should pocket watch. What do you think? What do you think he made career wise?
I don't.
I'm gonna say I have 67
no
million.
Idea. I was just gonna land on 100 because I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Let me look. I'll scroll down. My guess is 67 year 100.
His photo on Basketball Reference doesn't do him justice.
108, 107.7 million.
That's a big time win for me.
That's a lot of money.
I'm counting it in the official Pocket Watcher standings.
There you are.
Somebody let Jesse know. No, I'm joking. Yeah, Andrei Kirilenko, good player. I was trying to think. I had written down. I guessed all the names I wrote down. I don't know where I would have gone after that. I think Draymond did it once.
Maybe
he might have one. Yeah, it would have taken me a hot minute to get there. I want to talk to you about a Kings trade thing.
Yeah.
Off another thing that happened last night, but I want to dig into it a little bit further than we have time for right now. So I'm going to push that. We talked about Bobby Portis yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to we kind of touched on that idea, and I want to dig into that trade specifically here in a bit. A reminder coming up at 10:30 as well. We have Fantasy Friday with Faraz Siddiqi of Upper Hand Fantasy. He will be joining us to answer your fantasy questions. We'll have some general questions, and then this segment is for you. You can give us a call on the Elk Grove Kia talk line 916-909-1320. 916-909-1320. Or, of course, you can ask your questions in the chatty house at youtube.com/ESPN1320 and twitch.tv/ESPN1320. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and the Sacramento Kings take on the Hawks tonight in Atlanta. Sacramento went 2-0 against the Hawks last season, but 0-2 the previous year. And this is one of the like weirdest ongoing things. Is the Kings since 2007 are 3-14 in Atlanta.
Yeah, there was a stretch where they hadn't won in Atlanta in like 20 years. I think it might have even gone longer than that.
I get that Atlanta was really good there for a minute, and the Kings were not.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes sense. You only visit them one time a year. It makes sense that you'd lose a few in a row. But 3-14 over 17 years? The Hawks haven't been that good.
No.
And the Kings haven't been that bad.
No, but I think when you go to Atlanta, the one thing that I always like, they don't draw, and you have to bring your own energy. And it's really, really awkward. A lot of times over the years, it's like playing in a high school gym. Like it's quiet. The building isn't super friendly, and you just don't feel any buzz at all from the crowd.
Yeah.
And so whatever you're doing, you have to create yourself. And if you're not a team that has that in your bag, because that's a skill to walk into a building that's quiet and know how to play. It's like teams got good at it during the pandemic because they were in buildings for a year without anyone in there. But now you want to kind of see, what does this team look like? This should be a very nice tune-up for the Kings. It should be like a game that they can win. But, again, you have a tough time being there. You have a tough time winning there. And this is a dangerous team.
Yeah, the Hawks are strange because I don't think anyone's going to confuse them for a playoff team, right? I don't think anyone's going to watch the Hawks and go, this is a top 6 team in the East. I know the East isn't great, but they could be a play-in team for sure. And maybe they get into the playoffs that way. But nobody's looking at the Hawks and going, oh, hey, look out. But on the other hand, we've talked about with the Jazz and with Portland, they're kind of weird collections of players.
Yes.
I don't know if the Hawks are a weird collection of players or if they're just it's Clint Capella who's past his prime. It's Jalen Johnson who might take a leap and be a really good player, but he's still figuring it out. It's Trae Young, who I think is a legitimate like playmaking lead guard, but doesn't offer a ton defensively.
No.
And we talked about these yesterday. I don't totally know how much he impacts winning.
Yeah, he's just a statistical anomaly. That's what he always feels like.
Yeah.
Like his stats, like I don't want to say he pads stats because when you watch him play, you're like, okay. Like I don't ever, every single time I watch him play, I don't know how he gets up to 10 assists, but every single time you see him,
it's ridiculous.
He's at 10 or 11 assists.
I will watch an entire Hawks game and look at the box score, and he has 11 assists. And I couldn't pick one out.
Yeah, it's very strange.
But they just have like Onyeka Okongwu, another good young player who's still figuring it out. DeAndre Hunter's hurt, so he won't be playing. But again, another
he's always hurt.
Talented player who hasn't figured it out. The Hawks I think the Hawks' problem is, we'll get to their problem in a second. This is a game that, to me, it's not like Portland or the Jazz, where it's like, hey, you kind of got to steamroll this team. You'd like to see the Kings go in and steamroll Atlanta. But I think the Kings could have had an off night against either the Jazz or the Blazers and still figured out a way to win. I think Atlanta has enough talent that if you have an off night against Atlanta or you throw your jersey on the court and think you're going to go win, I think they have enough talent to take advantage of that. This doesn't fall into the category of a like, oh, you got to win by 20. No, you just got to go win this one.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this is a team that can really score. They can really push the pace. They like to control the tempo of the game. While we don't remember all of the passes that Trae Young gets, he does have like lob partners all over on this team where if he gets to a certain point on the floor, he just throws it up and Capella or Jalen Johnson or name that Okongwu just goes up and gets it. Okongwu is one of those guys who's super, super efficient. He's a big time, like athlete, and he can really play defense. But there's also games where he goes like 7 of 8 from the field, and he doesn't venture more than like 8 feet from the basket.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got a bunch of. It's a weird collection. I want to see what Risa Shea looks like. It's one of those things where we just don't get to see him all that often because he's on the East Coast and because we don't really care to watch Hawks basketball. Like I kind of wish Bogdanovic was there. That like there's some missing pieces and some weirdness to this team.
The Hawks have the same problem that I think a few teams the Kings have played this year have, where if like everything goes through Trae Young. We talked about this with Minnesota. If Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle aren't knocking down their shots, they don't have another club in their bag. Like that's just kind of that's their bread, that's their butter, and that's kind of the extent of it.
Yep.
I think the Hawks have the same issue with Trae Young, where Trae Young can't have a bad game, and they have something else to fall back on. They don't have a second pitch. They rely entirely on what Trae Young is doing, and that's how they can beat Brooklyn and beat Charlotte to start the year, and then go get smoked by Oklahoma City, and then lose back-to-back games to the Washington Wizards.
Oof.
Because, hey, it's just going to be up and down. It's going to be entirely based on Trae Young, and that's their offensive engine, and that's what drives everything. And I don't think they're very good defensively.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
They're pretty flawed.
What you're saying there, like he scores a ton, right? Trae Young for his career over 25 a game, but it's the fact that everything runs through him. That they don't have like anything that Jalen Johnson gets feels like it is run through Trae.
Yep.
Anything that Okongwu gets or Clint Capella gets, they're very specific. Like I think they have a couple of players out here, but Dyson Daniels is a guy that can create a little bit, but again, isn't an offensive weapon. So you rely so heavily on him that it's difficult. If you can take away Trae, then you've got a really, really good shot at beating this team.
He has a 32% usage rate.
Yeah, it's high, but it's not like the highest, but it's high.
No, but when you have DeAndre Hunter, I know has been hurt, which doesn't help. But when you have a guy like DeAndre Hunter or Jalen Johnson, where hey, put the ball in their hands, let them play make a little bit. They just, it's all Trae.
Yeah,
and he's like you said, the raw statistical numbers are nuts. He's at 28 and 12 this year. 28 points and 12 assists.
Yeah.
How are you 28 and 12 on a 2-3 team that just lost to the Wizards twice?
Anytime you say you lost to the Wizards twice, I'm like it's over.
Yeah, and I understand. Over. I understand. No DeAndre Hunter, no Bogdanovic, who's a player they really rely on, and he's been a really, really nice player for them. Dyson Daniels is hurt. Risa Shea is a rookie figuring it out. I understand all that, but I just don't. You see the vision, like you see where they could go beat a team like Sacramento if they're turning the ball over, letting the Hawks get out on the run. But at the same time, I don't feel confident that this version of the Hawks, just kind of looking long term, is ever going to be anything.
No, I would totally agree. You bring up the usage. Outside of Trae is at 32. They have Jalen Johnson at 23.3. Nobody else has usage rate at all. And if like Risa Shea is at 19.4, and DeAndre Hunter's at 20.6. But again, DeAndre Hunter's only played 2 games.
Yeah.
So like all of their players are low usage players. And that doesn't mean that they're bad players. It just means that they're players that whatever they do offensively is predicated on someone else setting them up. Yeah. And they don't have the ball in their hands. They're not people who create for themselves or others. And that's tough.
That's just such a hard way to play basketball.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I think the Kings offense is so good. It's very democratic, right? It's like ball finds energy kind of thing. That's the Steve Kerr Warriors mantra.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Brown and the Kings players execute that really, really well, where it's not, hey, Kevin, go stand in the corner. That's your job. It's like, no, he's going to move. He's going to move off the ball. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to dribble. He's going to create a little bit. And he's like the fifth option.
Oh, yeah.
In the starting five.
And then Malik comes in. Like, he's all over the place.
Yeah. He's not super. He is ball dominant, but he'll play off the ball. Mm-hmm. It's not always him. So I think that's an important thing that the Kings do that Atlanta doesn't.
Yeah. Here's another crazy stat. Assist percentage is an estimate of the percentage of teammate field goals a player assisted while they're on the floor. Guess what Trae Young's is?
I'm looking at it.
48.9. His assist percentage is 48.9, which means that his teammates are assisted on 48. Like half of their shots,
yes,
come off of his assists.
That's just not a way to play, dude.
No, you're so incredibly reliant on him. And if you can take him away and you can take away his passing, bye-bye.
Yeah, you're in a really good spot. We'll get to keys to the game a little bit later. King starters tonight: De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis for the Hawks. It's Trae Young. David Roddy has been starting for them. Zachary Rissache, Jalen Johnson, and Clint Capella. That's the starting five for them. The injury report for the Kings: no changes. Orlando Robinson's out with the knee injury. Devin Carter out with the shoulder injury. For the Hawks, DeAndre Hunter has a knee injury. He is out. Cody Zeller is dealing with a personal issue. He is out. Dyson Daniels has a hip injury. He is out. Bogdan Bogdanovic has a hamstring injury. He is out. And of course, Vit Krejci has a hip injury. He is also out. We'll get keys to the game. We'll get matchups to the game and all of that coming up in a bit with the Kings taking on the Atlanta Hawks tonight, right here, tonight in Atlanta. We'll have more Kings talk coming up for you on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center.
Hello, everyone. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man, we got to start keying in on some of these. Did you send the link? Hello, Cool Cat. Hi, Bob.
Sorry, what did you say?
Did you send Faraz the link?
Sure as heck did, Chip.
Hell yeah. No, that's not what I was trying to do. I was trying to key that.
Yeah, I think they cover. We'll have predictions later.
Johnny G, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, Dyson Daniels, when I was watching that game against the Nets on that opening night, Dyson Daniels was really freaking good in that game.
He's like a really high level basketball. He reminds me of young Bogdan Bogdanovic, just not the shooter. Like super versatile, can do everything on the court. Like you need smart players like that.
Oh my god, I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Do we have? What do we got? You guys have not been sending in your.
Yeah, I did a bad job of.
That's all right.
I couldn't really because of our thing. But...
Ooh, that's a good one. Sam Darnold or Kyler Murray. Yes, Michigan. Faraz is going to be on the show today, but you're 0-8 in fantasy. I don't think he can help you.
We're going to try, though.
Yeah. Johnny, your horrific jokes. They're so bad, I'm going to put it out here. So now you are known for your bad joke. Horrible.
That's a funny-ass joke.
That's horrible. Hey, there's Faraz.
Hey, he's back.
Oh, we got that. Especially, should I let him in? You letting him in?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello, Faraz.
Hello. What's up, guys?
You made it. What's up, dog?
It's good to see you.
Is that an NFL Blitz t-shirt?
Yeah, it is with my boy
Oh, Garrett Wilson on
last
it.
night. Did you guys see that catch? Or
Ridiculous.
We missed it.
Can you tell us about it? Was it cool?
So here's what happened. No,
we've been forced to watch the Jets.
For us?
It's league mandated that everyone is forced to watch the Jets.
Listen, second half, first half was brutal. First half was absolutely, it was
unwatchable,
bad, unwatchable, 100%. Second half, there was some action. If you were sleeping, that catch definitely woke you up.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It was one of those plays that in real time, like when it happened in real time, I was like, "Damn, that was cool. Too bad he didn't get his feet in."
Yeah,
because it super looked like he hits the 1 foot and then it was he went knee out. Like he looked way out of bounds. I was like, "Damn, that sucks." And then they show the replay. I was like, "Oh my god!"
I know.
I saw that.
So cool.
I'm texting with my folks. It's like, does 1 foot equal 2 feet?
Yes.
2? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you can tap. It's the double tap.
Yeah.
But
Zombieland.
I thought I thought he bobbled the ball. Like I did not think it was a catch.
Oh please.
The ball was moving. Like, but when it's that great of a catch,
rule of cool.
Yeah, when it's that great of a catch, you just kind of like go for it.
I would love that if officials had that discretion to be like, "Nah, it was cool as shit." Like in baseball, a lot of times,
right?
Like, like a diving play, skip the throw, and first baseman stretch and pick, and the guy's like, "Nah, I beat it." Like, "No, I didn't." Call him out.
Yes, and you know, like the George Pickens catch last week. I remember like T. Higgins, he like jumped up to the moon to catch a ball once. Like I think it was like last year or something. It was unbelievable, and I think he was out of bounds.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, it's 10:30 on a Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for Fantasy Friday. Our guy Faraz Siddiqi back in the building. Faraz, you can be 100% transparent with us. It's just guys being dudes talking.
100%, 100%.
Were you waiting for the Jets to win to rejoin the program?
I was, to be honest with you. Like I would have just been embarrassed, honestly. Like I was avoiding radio. I didn't record a podcast for 3 weeks. Oh no, I'm just kidding. It was just that's exactly what it was. You know, to say, no. I had surgery, so I had a lot going on over the past couple of weeks, minor stuff. So all good. I'm so glad to be back with you, and it's way better when I come back after a Jets win for sure. There's no doubt.
We're happy to have you back, and let's actually start with those Jets because it seems to me there's a pretty clear cut from a fantasy perspective. There's a pretty clear cut hierarchy. It's Garrett Wilson, it's Devontae Adams, and are those the only guys at this point we're starting if you have them for the Jets?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Breece Hall, you know, he had a disappointing day, obviously. He had a disappointing week the week before. Braylon Allen was, for some reason, he was involved 2 weeks ago. He was inefficient. This week he was inefficient. So, you know, it did move into Breece's favor last night, but the fantasy points weren't there, unfortunately. I'm not worried about him the way that I've seen a lot of people worry about him this morning in the comments on Instagram already. Like, guys, relax. It'll be all right. This is the game of fantasy football. It's going to be volatile, right? You know, chase those ceilings, and that's how it is. You know, we're with Breece Hall, but Garrett Wilson, man, I think if I'm not mistaken, over 90 yards, 90 yards or more in 4 of his last 5 games. So he's really finding that groove with Aaron Rodgers at this point. Even with Devontae Adams there, you know, defense is going to have to, like we talked about, you know, when this trade happened, defense is going to have to pick their poison. And Devontae Adams, he might not be the same guy he was, you know, a couple years ago. But, you know, we saw that he was able to, you know, that slot fade, you know, at the end of the game to ice it. You know, he was going up against a safety, right? It wasn't even a corner that he was going up against. But still, you know, he has the ability to, you know, to create some plays. So he actually had more target. He had one more target than Garrett Wilson in yesterday's game. But Wilson is, you know, he's going to be more efficient, you know, and more of a playmaker at this point of his career.
For us, you brought up, you know, Adams and, you know, of course there's a trade there and we've got the trade deadline coming up. There's been a couple of smaller trades, you know, Deontay Johnson, but where are you at with the trade deadline? Do you think that there's going to be a move that changes anything fantasy wise Even like the Hopkins trade, can that have an impact on what the Chiefs are doing? Or do you think that most of the moves that are going to be made here are going to kind of be vanilla and they're not going to be that big of a game changer?
Well, in terms of the trades that already happened, I do think Hopkins is going to have an impact for sure. I think Amari Cooper is going to have an even bigger impact in Buffalo, once he's good to go, because I think, where he's at in his career compared to where Hopkins is at, it's a pretty big difference. Amari, it can be a real true, wide receiver one, even, for fantasy, if they end up clicking, right? And also when you look at the talent differential between Amari and everyone else, also, like, it's, I know Khalil Shakir is doing his thing, Keon Coleman's doing his thing over the past couple of weeks, but at some point, Josh Allen's going to lock onto Amari, and when that happens, it's going to be serious. And in terms of things that could potentially happen now, one that's on my mind is Khalil Herbert. Who's if you don't know who Khalil Herbert is, he hasn't really played this year. He's sitting at third on the depth chart in Chicago for the Bears. In my opinion, he is a good running back. Okay, and he's not really trusted in pass protection and that sort of thing. So he's been out of the loop, out of the mix, and he's somebody whose name has been a little bit hot lately on the in the trade deadline. So if he goes somewhere, who needs a running back, like how many teams really need a running back that desperately? But there are a couple spots where things could be shaken up. So if you have a spot on your bench right now, open, and you're like, I don't know who to roster, and maybe Khalil Herbert is somebody that you could just hold until the trade deadline, or at least for the next couple of days until waiver is clear.
Faraz Siddiqi, Upper Hand Fantasy. You can get the podcast wherever you get your podcast, and of course on the free Odyssey app. And make sure to follow Upper Hand Fantasy on Instagram and also upperhandfantasy.com. That's a website. Tons of good information there. Speaking of trades, does the Deontay Johnson trade move the needle at all for anything on the Ravens offense?
I mean, they were already so good, right? And now they add, this is quite the luxury here. Serious man beater. Well, I don't want to say it like that.
That's crazy.
He can separate against man cover. Sorry, guys.
I think it's getting worse.
Are you guys?
Okay, got it.
Sorry.
Tuesday man coverage, Deontay Johnson's
very
gonna win.
Man separator. Separated against men. With men. Separation. Really, really good at doing that all day long. Zay Flowers is a very good wide receiver. Very good wide receiver. Deontay, man, like, listen, honestly, he is personally, I don't know why Carolina did this move. I understand he's in the last year of his contract. I'm trying to make this serious, guys. Okay.
We're back.
I can't, if you guys keep
in.
laughing, I cannot.
We're locked in.
Okay, locked in. Zay Flowers is good.
Good play.
In my opinion, Rashad Bateman is somebody who could continue to stretch the field. He can continue to do that, have that role. But eventually, I do think it's going to be Deontay and Zay Flowers as the primary 1-2 punch at wide receiver there. I think they complement each other really, really well. Deontay can be the guy at X. Zay Flowers, he doesn't have to worry about a lot of press coverage if that's the case. So I like it for them. This just makes Lamar an even better fantasy asset moving forward. He goes from overall QB1 to overall QB1, I guess. But Deontay, is he going to be fantasy relevant? We might have to wait a little while, right? So off of name value, if I can move off of Deontay Johnson in a trade in fantasy, I would probably do that because I don't want to wait around, and it could get a little messy, moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, Kyle wrote down some good ones here. And,
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think because we're in this situation, streaming a quarterback at this point, Bo Nix or Jameis Winston, where are you at here? Because Winston,
this is specific to our interests.
it is. This is Team Swift, Kirk, and the Dickers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will say that Jameis Winston, to me, he could throw up 300 on you on any defense, in my opinion. Like, he's just a gunslinger. If I'm not mistaken, for his career, when in games that he's played the whole game, he has averaged like 280 yards passing per game, which is absolutely bonkers. So the matchup isn't ideal, this week, but the Browns, let's see, the Browns implied total on the week isn't super low. Browns implied total is 20.5 points. So that's a lot higher than some of these other teams here. Bo Nix We're sitting at 19 points implied total, so not too far off. The matchup is really good against Baltimore through the air, but they're going into Baltimore. I loved Bo Nix last week, by the way. Last week, I was all over Bo Nix. I had all the videos up, all that kind of stuff going up against Carolina. He ends up being the QB2 on the week for whatever reason. Like going into Baltimore, I understand it's a really good matchup against the pass. It's just something about it, I'm not super excited about it. So I think I'm going Jameis Winston here between these two. He has the weapons too. So I think I'm going in his direction.
This has the vibe of one of those games that the Ravens win like 40-10.
Right.
Like they're just going to boat race this team that's 5-3, and are they real? Are they not? And they're just going to, and the Broncos are going to finish 7-10 after getting boat raced.
That's kind of how I'm feeling about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. That confirms our priors.
Good.
The 49ers are expecting Christian McCaffrey back, as we talk with Faraz Siddiqi of Upper Hand Fantasy. UpperHandFantasy.com is a website. We're expecting Christian McCaffrey back after the bye week. Is this a good time now? From I guess in your opinion here, is this a good time to try and trade Christian McCaffrey, knowing that he's coming back, and you think, hey, maybe he's not going to be as involved in the offense as he was, and you get some really good value for him? Or are you on the other side and going, hey, now's a good time to see if you can trade for Christian McCaffrey?
I'm trading for Christian McCaffrey right now. Even if they reduce his workload like 30%, he's still an RB1, number one. And then he's still in the running to be the overall RB1. Like, who's the overall RB1 right now? Right? It's Derrick guys like Kyren Williams, Derrick Henry, and it's iffy. Like after that, right? There's just a couple of guys up there, right? And like it could go back and forth. Christian McCaffrey, because he's so good in the receiving game, because he's going to get goal line work, because he's on a great offense behind a good offensive line in a great scheme. He can be efficient on his touches and be just fine. And also, he has fresh legs now. Like, I know he has, whatever he has. What is
Achilles
it?
tendonitis.
Arthritis. Oh yeah,
bilateral Achilles tendonitis.
Bilateral Achilles tendonitis. Yeah. He has fresh legs, and I think he's going to be great. He could potentially win leagues for anybody who's still in it, who was able to figure it out, even though they drafted him 101 and then he didn't end up playing. If he figured it out, I'm playing him, with confidence. I am trading for him, and you won't have to give up. I don't think you have to give up a whole lot, to get him. And if you had him for this long, I don't think you're going to want to give up the bag unless you desperately need a win this week during the bye. Go get the entire get a lot for Christian McCaffrey. If you can't get a lot, I'm not trading him away. I have confidence that he'll be back and continue to do his thing.
All right, Faraz, I want to ask you about Mahomes, and like it's been a disaster season for Mahomes from a fantasy aspect, but the DeAndre Hopkins thing, like how is this going to work out? If you have an opportunity to pick up Hopkins, should you even start Mahomes at this point, or are you just better surfing with Bo Nix and Jameis Winston?
Yeah, this sounds like a super personal question, but yeah, totally. I think Mahomes, Mahomes hasn't been startable in one quarterback leagues. Look, let's be honest, right? Like last week, I think he had his best game of the year, fantasy wise. And it was a game where he circled on his calendar, right, against the Raiders, because they were talking a little smack, right, about the Kermit thing earlier in the year. So like, his best performance was that one, and I'm not sure if I'm going to expect a whole lot from him moving forward. Isaiah Pacheco is going to come back at some point, so they're going to continue to lean there. They're leaning on Kareem Hunt, guys. Okay, this guy hasn't had one run like over like 10 yards this year. So it's that's how bad it is, and they're just not relying on the receiving game at all. So I'm not gonna hope that it is, but yeah, I agree with you. I'm going with guys like Bo Nix and Jameis Winston and even Joe Flacco, guys like that. And I'm screaming every week over starting Patrick Mahomes, because you will average a higher fantasy points per game if you do that than if you start Mahomes every week.
Talking with Faraz Siddiqi, Upper Hand Fantasy. Let's start with listener questions, and let's stick in that Chiefs backfield. Johnny G said he picked up Isaiah Pacheco and stashed him. Is that a move that's worth it? Should he keep him around? Should he try and move him? What should Johnny G do with Isaiah Pacheco?
Well, listen, I mean, if you picked him up, I'm guessing you picked him up for free or use the waiver priority on him or something like that, then it's totally worth it. Whatever he does for you now is going to pay off. I don't have the expectations that I did for him coming into the season. But I think he'll be an RB2 at the very least. He was high end RB1. It was when he was playing. And I think he'll be fine. This particular injury that he has isn't one where I am actually trading for him, because I'm a little bit worried, based on the research that other smart medical people have done that I've kind of looked at. And then also similar thing with Puka, and now he tweaked his knee again. So I'm hoping to hear more about that a little bit later today. Hopefully he could play this week and be fine, because that would stink if he can't play. But back to Pacheco, I'm going to hold him. Now, if I can get like a high-end RB2 for Pacheco right now, I probably would do that, because who knows when he's going to be back. It could be another 2 weeks before he's back, maybe even more. So because of that, I am a little bit wary, and I would maybe trade him away for like a Josh Jacobs or like a Brian Robinson Jr. or like, someone in that high-end RB2 range, and Aaron Jones, something like that.
Okay. Let's stick with let's just finish up Chiefs stuff. Baker or Mahomes, they play each other this weekend. That should be a fun game.
I think I have Mahomes higher than Baker this week, to be honest, because the matchup is great for Mahomes. The matchup is not good for Baker. And I know Baker's been killing it every single week, but this is one of the toughest matchups that Baker has had all season long. The Chiefs defense is no joke. And Vegas agrees. Vegas has the Bucs as the lowest implied total on the week. Only the Patriots and Panthers have a lower implied total than the Bucs this week. So the Vegas is not expecting them to score a bunch. K. Dotton is his only receiver. I know last week he got it done, but it was a much better matchup. So I'm a little bit wary this week on Baker.
We're gonna rip through some listener questions here. Faraz, wide receiver 1, 2, and 2. Oh my God,
2 flex.
Pick four of these players.
Okay,
Cooper
so we got
Kupp, Keenan Allen, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, and Josh Downs.
All right. Well, Kupp is in. You want Kupp in for sure.
Yep.
Josh Downs with Joe Flacco is basically a wide receiver 1. So you got to have him in as well. After Kupp and Downs, you got Keenan Allen, JSN, Worthy, Hopkins. I would probably go JSN with no DK Metcalf this week, or I think no DK Metcalf this week. We'll see. And then I would probably go with Worthy after that. Hopkins, listen, it might take another minute for Hopkins to get ready. So I don't know where he's at. I don't know, how far along is he, how many snaps he's going to get. But we know that Worthy had more than 30% target share the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to go with him this week.
All right, let's get to Jared Brown's question. Sam Darnold or Kyler Murray?
Kyler played the game of his life last week, man. He looked really good. But he's been up and down all year long. Sam Darnold's nice and steady. So I'm going to go with Sam Darnold in what should be a high-scoring game this week.
Let's stick with quarterback questions. Bryce wants to know Lamar or Joe Burrow.
Still going Lamar. I know he's a little bit banged up right now. I know he has a really tough matchup, but yeah, you ain't going to catch me sitting Lamar. He's playing.
You'd feel way worse sitting Lamar and having him go off than starting Lamar and having him not play well.
100%. And also Joe Burrow doesn't have T. Higgins this week too. So that's another.
They're 0-3 without T. Higgins, I think.
Oof.
Jeez. So
they're not very good overall. So
3-5.
All right. We've got a flex one from Kings fan 333. Myers, McConkey, or Chase Brown.
This is actually really tough. So this is really tough, to be honest. I lean McConkey here just by a hair if this is PPR. If this is a standard or half-point league, I'll probably go Chase Brown. But this is really tough, man. Myers probably has the safest floor in PPR out of all these guys. Man, it's tough. If I have to choose one, I would go with McConkey. The Chargers over the last 2 weeks have actually a positive rate of pass over expectation rate, which is not something we were used to before their bye. They were a run-heavy team. Now the run game is a little bit inefficient, and I think they're going to be passing the ball more, which is what we want. We want Justin Herbert to pass the ball more. So I'm going to go with McConkey here just by a hair.
All right. Talking with Faraz Siddiqi, Upper Hand Fantasy, the Upper Hand Fantasy podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcasts. DK Metcalf or Brian Thomas Jr. Is BTJ going to play?
I don't know. He's been wearing a red non-contact jersey all week long, and he's been limited, and it's a game time decision. Same thing with DK Metcalf here. I might need a third option here because I don't know if any of these guys, either of these guys are going to play. If both play, I'm going to go with Wait, who are the Seahawks playing this week? They have a decent matchup,
Seahawks
right?
have the Rams.
They have the Rams, so I'll probably go DK by a hair over BTJ.
Okay. Let's just keep cooking through these.
We got a bunch.
Chatty House After Party, Christian Watson or Jacoby Myers?
I'm gonna go Myers. Myers is basically has a 25% target share in all games without Devontae Adams. He's getting it done. So he's a target hog. So I'm gonna go Myers here.
Sticking with wide receivers, Keon Coleman, Deontay Johnson, or Jordan Addison.
I'm probably gonna go Keon Coleman. You know, he's been getting it done over the past 2 weeks. Amari Cooper, who knows how far along he is, but I'm gonna go with him. This
Okay.
week he's done.
Let's just keep rolling. Miles, Hubbard or Javonte Williams?
Oh, man, not Javonte. I'm gonna go Hubbard. Javonte's such a tough matchup. I'm gonna go Hubbard here, even with Bryce Young starting.
Sneaky good year for Chuba Hubbard. Loki Trickster wants to know DeMarcus Robinson or Wan'Dale Robinson, I think.
I think that's it. Yeah. I would go Wan'Dale Robinson. If you're looking for a Rams wide receiver to start without Puka, I'm probably going to go with Tutu over DeMarcus.
Okay. Okay. What do we got? Soren needs one flex. Pollard, Myers, Stevenson.
I'm gonna go with man, this is tough. I'm gonna go with Pollard, assuming that he plays. Did he practice today? Because he didn't practice the last 2 days. So just keep that in mind. Pollard, let's see. Pollard, I'm looking because you just gotta keep in mind that Pollard might not end up playing. No sign of Tony Pollard today at practice. So Pollard, 3 DMPs this week. Okay, keep that in mind. So it looks like Myers might be the move here. You know, we actually have, you know, if Pollard doesn't go and Spears doesn't go, we have, you know, national hot dog eating champion Julius Chestnut as the primary starting running back for the for the Titans this week. Oh, that's Joey. That's Joey Chestnut, huh? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, same guy.
Same guy.
Yeah, same.
Myers.
Perfect. John Pole's got 2 flex spots. Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, Jacoby Myers, or Ladd McConkey. Some players we've already talked.
Myers and McConkey are the 2 guys here for me.
Ooh,
very good.
Yeah, we're just
let's rapid fire these.
Going through these. From David Lopez, flex spot, Otten, Marvin Harrison, Chubb, Josh Downs, or McConkey. I don't know. In a PPR league, I don't know how many spots you got, but
it seems like one.
Yeah,
I'm going Josh Downs.
As long as Joe Flacco loves him some Josh Downs.
While we're there, where are you at with Chubb coming back?
Chubb, you know, it's one of those things. He's getting a lot of the opportunity. I think it's 75% of the rushing attempts, you know, last week, which is great. The offensive line is just struggling, right? And that's my issue right now with Nick Chubb, and also coming back from a tough injury. So he's like a low end RB2, borderline RB2 type of play for me right now until we see some improvements.
Yeah, Chubb, tough against press man or man beaters.
Man beaters.
Reed, Adunze, Isaiah Likely, or Keenan Allen. I guess that's Jaden Reed.
You know, it's Reed it's been a little tough for Reed lately, but I'm still starting him as a wide receiver 2 for me. Really, really good matchup this week.
Very good.
Okay. Let's go another one of Bryce here. We got Charbonnet, Dobbins, or Stevenson for RB.
Oh, man, this is tough. It's between Dobbins and Stevenson for me. I'm going to lean Dobbins. Now, if Drake May ends up playing, I think I'm going to go Stevenson. If he doesn't, I'll go Dobbins.
What does Drake May change for you there?
The offense just moves better with him. Like he just a better offense overall.
For his wide receiver 2 spot, Johnny G wants to know if he should roll with Xavier Worthy, Jalen McMillan, or
I think that's Deontay. I'm assuming Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson, yeah.
That's what I'm assuming, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I would be super wary to play Deontay Johnson at all this week, you know, in this first week as a Raven. But I would probably go Worthy here. McMillan didn't get a high enough target share last week for me to care about starting him this week, and Kansas City's pretty tough against wide receivers.
All right, let's finish this up quick. Let's go David Lopez again. Running back, PPR league, Chubbs or Chuba?
Or Chuba? I'm going to go Chuba.
Over Nick Chubb?
I think so. This week, yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. And last one, Jalen Tolbert, Xavier Legette, or Elijah Moore, Jets legend.
Jets legend Elijah Moore. Let's go with him. He actually led the Browns in target share last week. So I'm going Elijah. He's
There it
super
is.
fantasy relevant. If he's available, guys, pick him up.
For us, you're the very best in the game. Upperhandfantasy.com, the Upper Hand Fantasy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, Upper Hand Fantasy on Instagram. Great info at all of those spots. Highly encourage you, if you like this segment, to go check that out and try and win your fantasy league. We're in the second half of the year, so go get those dubs. For us, thanks so much for joining us, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, buddy. All right, there he goes. Faraz Siddiqi, Fantasy Friday. You can hear him every Friday right here on The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320. Man, not a lot of people doing it better than Faraz.
I miss having Faraz on. He's been gone for 2 weeks with a little bit of stuff going on, and
yeah,
it's good. It's good to have him back. He's just a breath of fresh air when it comes to fantasy.
When we had King season opener last week, we just had a lot of stuff going on too.
We did, yeah.
Over here, we're not the only people dealing with stuff, or he's not the only person dealing with stuff.
Yeah, we got stuff to do.
Look at us go. Speaking of stuff to do, we got more Kings to talk about. They play the Atlanta Hawks tonight. Plus, week 9 of the NFL began last night. I guess we'll spend some time on the Jets, but we'll get into week 9. We got mad props coming up. All of that in the second hour. Here we go. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader.
Clear. What's going on, everybody? We have a lot of people in here today. If you guys don't mind, can you hit the thumbs up for us? Sometimes I can make the thumb up emoji show up. Did not work. Yeah, I don't know how many thumbs up we've got. You guys see that? I don't. But jump on board with the big thumbs up. Done and done. I'm not a fantasy guy, but the back and forth between the chatty house and the experts on screen is pretty dope. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, like the key is we know that there are people out there that don't love fantasy, but it's for it to be like super quick and it doesn't bog and it doesn't drag down. And Faraz says things he shouldn't say on the air. And so do we sometimes. So James and Kyle, what? Oh man. Like Love is limping and I don't know how much he's going to play, and Daniels is beat up too. I think Daniels is probably further along in his progression. But that's a good question. I mean, when Love plays, he's phenomenal. But if Daniels can't run, it really does limit him a little bit. I don't know. That's a good question. I'd probably, if Jordan Love is playing, I'd probably go Jordan Love because I think he's a QB1. Like, he's a stud.
Jaden Daniels got hurt 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he ran it 8 for 52 last week and threw for 326 with a touchdown against Chicago.
Yeah, well, but the touchdown is a 65-yard bomb that should have never happened.
No, I know, but
yeah. That's where it's like, I mean,
he's only thrown more than one touchdown in 2 games this year.
But he
0-0, 2-1-1, 2-0-1, and his 8 rushes were his most since week 5.
Yeah, but what has he got? He's got 4 rushing touchdowns too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
all of those came in the first 4 weeks.
Oof. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, both division games. The Packers are at home
against Detroit. Yeah,
it might be a shootout. I don't know, man.
That's a tough one. Yeah. Love has been really good.
I personally would probably go Jaden Daniels.
He's projected to score more in my league. Jaden Daniels is like 20.5 versus 17.7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Detroit's defense is, I don't know. It just depends if that game gets out of hand, because that's what it seems like Detroit just keeps doing to teams. Hmm. Yeah, lots of interceptions for Love. I think he's got 9. Yeah, Kyle is really good at streaming defense. Kyle, Norm is thinking Kansas City against the Bucks or Rams against Seattle.
I'd go Kansas City.
Oh, okay. Well, especially keep in mind that Mike Evans and
Correct.
Chris
Chris Godwin.
Are done. Well, Godwin's done.
Godwin's done for the year. Mike Evans is going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
I would pick up Kansas City's defense and just keep them. I wouldn't even stream that.
Okay.
If you have them, just rock with it until they're on their bye. Or they've already had their bye, so you can just ride that.
Yeah.
The year.
They're the best
They
defense.
They have allowed 20, 25, 17, 10, 13, 18, and 20.
And
they've had at least one turnover in all but one game.
Yeah, they are very good. The Kansas City.
That game has big 17-13 energy.
Ooh. Per Shams. Pelicans, Herb Jones is out 2 to 4 weeks with a right shoulder strain and partial tear and rotator cuff. And CJ McCollum is out 2 to 3 weeks with a right adductor strain.
Hey, we're back. Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're rocking with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC, and they will take you into the weekend. I'll take you up to 4 o'clock.
That's right.
Yeah, Raiders football this weekend, by the way. 10 a.m. kickoff, early kickoff this weekend for the Raiders. So if you're out running errands in the morning, getting your coffee, maybe picking up some donuts, maybe picking up some senorita bread, I don't know. Whatever it is you're into on the weekends, the Raiders are going to be on this very radio station at 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 1320. Also want to remind everybody, you can catch whatever you missed live. I saw Katrina in the chat say, I'm back. It should be illegal to schedule meetings during the Insiders. I totally agree. If you need us to write a note to your boss, that works like a doctor's note.
I can write one for you. I would do that.
Yeah, we'll write a little note and you can show it to your boss and say, I got to skip that meeting. But if you missed something because you had a meeting or whatever, subscribe to the podcast, and we upload each hour. We upload the whole show, so you can go back and catch whatever you missed. Maybe you missed Fantasy Friday with Faraz Siddiqi, and he's answering a ton of questions, giving a ton of good info on how to win your fantasy week this week. Go back and check that out. It'll be in hour number 1 on the podcast feed. It's not the Insiders, though. It's the James Ham and Kyle Madsen show.
That's right.
So wherever you get your podcast, they won't let us call it the Insiders, which is fine. James Ham and Kyle Madsen show, wherever you get your podcast. Even if you don't want to go listen to it, just download it and subscribe. Help your boys out.
There you go.
Yeah. Be a friend. Salute to everybody listening on 1320 AM. If you are a podcast listener, thank you. And everybody in the chatty house as well. Or if you're not in the chatty house and watching on YouTube and Twitch, we appreciate you very much. We'll get to the Kings in a moment. But we got to get to the phones right now. The Elk Grove Kia Talk line, 916-909-1320. That's 916-909-1320. Don, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Hey, Don, you're on the air. How we doing?
Good, thank you. I just wanted to know, why do the NBA schedule makers treat the Sacramento Kings just like the Niners are treated every time their schedule comes out? We got Niners with a historically bad rest differential this year, thanks to Niners Wire. And then the Kings are out here with a back-to-back on the road. And I swear, if you look, we're also top 3 in miles traveled this year as well. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the call, Don. So I'll do the miles traveled thing real quick. Part of the miles traveled is just the matter of being on the West Coast. It's just to get to anywhere you're going to travel quite a bit. But I do think we've talked about a couple of weird scheduling quirks, and I don't look at every other team's schedule to see if this happens to other teams. So I don't know if it's like the Niners rest advantage thing where they have like 4 or 5 games where the opposing team is coming off their bye week. And all the I don't want to deep dive that. But the Kings, their road trip was Utah, Atlanta, Toronto, Miami. And that doesn't, and Toronto to Miami is the back-to-back? Or is it Atlanta to Toronto is the back-to-back?
Atlanta to Toronto. So not only do you have to go back to, but you have to go through customs. And you can't travel on the day of the game. So they have to leave
tonight in Atlanta.
They have to leave after the game in Atlanta. They've got to fly overnight to get into Toronto. Then they have to clear customs, and then they go to their hotel, and then they play the Raptors.
Jeez.
The one thing is, we brought this up yesterday. The Raptors are also on a back-to-back, and that does matter. So at least they're playing a back-to-back.
Also, the Raptors stink.
No, they do. But what you don't want is a scheduling loss. And I get, it doesn't make sense. So I don't know how many extra miles are brought into this. So we're basically talking, you throw in the Utah trip. So you're probably like 3,200 miles getting to Atlanta, right? Roughly. Then you got 1,000-mile flight, and then probably a 1,200-mile flight, and then back 3,000 miles. So this is like an 8,000+ mile trip for the Kings. It doesn't have to be that way, but best case scenario, they probably, if they would have just rerouted this thing, it would have only saved you at like 1,000 miles on the trip. It's either way, it's going to be like a 7,000-mile trip. If they would have gone to Toronto, then to Atlanta, then to Miami, or from Toronto to Miami to Atlanta, and then back home, whatever, it would have saved like roughly 1,000 miles. But the Kings play on the on the West Coast, and so anytime they have to go east, you just hope that they bookend all their East Coast games together. And they didn't do that last year either. The worst thing is when you get late in a season and they throw just like a weird random one like they did last year. That hurt the Kings. They had to go, what was it, New York, Boston, back to New York to play Brooklyn, and then home. But the fact that it was super late in the season was not good, because you're trying to make a run here, and you would expect that they would put most of those games earlier in the season, again, wrap them up into a long road trip, or 2 decent 5-6 game road trips during the season where you stay on the East Coast. But that's not how the schedule makers did it last year.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know that if this is a Kings specific thing. I've not dug into every other team's schedule. This may just be the NBA.
Well, the Kings have the third most miles on the season, and Minnesota's first, which is weird.
Yeah, that's what I don't quite understand, because the Kings, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the top three or 4 teams, or 3 of the top 5 teams in miles traveled are all, it's like Portland and Sacramento, and one of the LA teams, or Golden State, or somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of, like I said, it's the nature of being on the West Coast. Minnesota's weird, because Minnesota's right there in the middle.
Well, totally. But what you have to remember too is when it comes to the TNT schedule or major network Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night games, they always want a West Coast team on those. So that means that sometimes your schedule is going to be a little more difficult because there's only a handful of teams on the West Coast. So you're looking at the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Kings, the Trailblazers, who are all on Pacific Standard Time. Everyone else is on a different clock schedule.
Yeah.
And so if you want a 7:00 game every Tuesday and Thursday night, you have to have teams playing on the West Coast, which means that sometimes, we talked about this the other day. We had a game last year where Dallas was just hanging out on a Monday night. They didn't.
Yeah.
They had 3 days off in Sacramento.
2 days off between games.
It was 2 days off before the Kings played them on a Tuesday night, but the Kings played on Monday night and had a back-to-back. They easily could have played them on a different night. They could have played whatever it was. They could have moved the schedule around, but it was because of national television schedule. So sometimes that's what happens, and it just makes it, more difficult.
So Boston has a road trip out west late in this year, but it actually makes logistical sense.
Mhm.
On March 21, they fly to Utah. Then they go Utah to Portland, to Sacramento, to Phoenix, to San Antonio, to Memphis.
Okay.
Like that makes sense to me.
So you just basically
Just
make
did
a
little,
loop
did
and
a
then
little circle.
Yeah.
And back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
also
I just
like
looked at, like I said, I'm not, I have a hard time getting into the whole schedule thing. And using it as an excuse because it's just, it's the schedule. You got to play the games. Like I'm not going to call Toronto a schedule loss.
no.
I'm sorry.
No.
You have to beat the hell out of Toronto. I don't care if you've played 3 consecutive games. You just that's a bad team. You have to go beat them.
Yeah.
Now it sucks when Denver's gotten 2 nights off and you're on the back end of a back-to-back and you've got to go to Denver. Like that's one that's like, oh, that stinks.
Yeah.
But I think if we talk to every team in the league, I think they're probably going to have nitpicks with their schedule.
No, I totally agree with you. And then
I just can't get behind that.
I'll point out the one thing I don't like in the Kings schedule, and like the big long road trip in January is what it is. You're going to have to play those teams. It's the one that's right at the end of the season where you go on March 29th, you go Orlando and then Indiana, Washington, Charlotte, Cleveland, Detroit. The grouping of games is fine. And the fact that of this group, maybe 3 are playoff teams of the 6. And we'll see what happens with Orlando with Paolo Banchero missing major time.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, so I again, Cleveland is a playoff team, and the Pacers are a playoff team. I don't know if Charlotte will get there. Detroit, I don't think so. So the point is that the schedule isn't that difficult, but it is right at the end of the season. You've come back from that trip, and you have 3 games to finish off the season. That's pretty brutal to make a team fly back east to a 6-game road trip in their last 9 games of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of the East Coast, we'll get back to the Kings in a moment. The Jets won last night to kick off week 9 of the NFL season. And it's really annoying because now we have to you got to stick. Okay.
Are they back?
Yeah, we got to do the Jets thing for another week.
They keep dragging me back in.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. They're 3-6. They go 7-1 to close the year. 10-7. That's good. That's going to be enough for a playoff spot. We just got to keep doing that. Oh, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson. Oh, here they come.
That Garrett Wilson catch was
sick.
Bonkers.
That was sick.
Yeah.
That's a really nice play.
I love, as a person who played wide receiver when he was young, I absolutely love wide receiver play. I love the great catches. Like I lean way more wide receiver than quarterback or running back.
I love a toe tap like the Nate Burleson used to do on Good Morning Football, the toe drag swag.
Yeah.
I love the body control from wide receivers is outrageous.
Oh yeah.
Like for Garrett Wilson to be moving full speed, to reach up, jump, and make that catch at all is insane.
Mm-hmm.
But then to pull it down and have the wherewithal to land on your one foot, know that you're not going to get the other one down, and get your first foot in a second time as you're going to the ground.
Before you hit the ground hard, knowing you're going to bounce.
And moving at full speed to begin with.
With people all around you.
I mean,
yeah.
It just...
Yeah.
Unbelievable play.
I absolutely love a great wide receiver play. I think it's the best, in football, the best thing you can see is someone do something amazing as a receiver.
Yeah, man. There's Justin Jefferson. He's a little unorthodox because he doesn't run really. He runs unorthodox routes, and he does that on purpose, just so defenders can't sit on one specific thing that he does. Like he's gonna chop his feet differently. He's gonna move his shoulders and his hips weird before getting into his route, so it makes the defender think, right? But it's like when who's a good example of this? When Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for me, just gets rolling. It's really aesthetically pleasing.
Oh yeah.
It's just at his pace, he's going to get his. DeMar DeRozan, same thing. Moving at his pace, he's going to get to his spot. That's how I feel watching really good wide receivers.
Yeah, and I've always said it a little bit like Fox. When he is rolling, he floats. It's just like, oh my goodness, look at him just floating around, and there's nothing you can do to stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I just the aesthetics of when a receiver is, whether it's making a sick catch like that, whether it's routing up a corner, whether it's making that toe tap catch. The one where one of my favorite plays in football is the like perfectly thrown deep ball.
Oh yeah.
Where the receiver doesn't have to break stride and catches it in stride.
Yeah, or the one that drops straight down.
Yeah. They don't even move.
Yeah.
And it's just there's something really nice about watching that. All right. That's enough Jets. That's James. I'm Kyle. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. And we got the Kings visiting the Atlanta Hawks tonight. We talked about the Hawks a little bit earlier. Just kind of weird team, but this is a game the Kings, you got to go get this one. But if I think was it last year that they went into Atlanta and were down like 17-0?
Oh.
They got down big in Atlanta early. And they came back to win. It might not have been 17. It might have been less than that. But I think Atlanta started off on like a 7-0 run or a 10-0 run, something like that. And they came back to win. But this Atlanta team has enough talent that you have to take them seriously. But it's not so much talent that it's like, man, I don't know. I don't know if the Kings are going to win this one. They should go win this one.
They should win this. This is a game where you're playing a team that's totally decimated by injury. Like they've got 4 or 5 guys, like, and maybe 3 or 4 rotational players that are just gone.
Yeah.
You know, Bogdan Bogdanovic is gone. Dyson Daniels, DeAndre Hunter, they're all gone. And so this is sort of a shorthanded team, but also a team that's pretty limited because of that, and one-dimensional because of that. So I think this is, we always talk about getting off on the right foot on a road trip. If they can get to 3-0, they can win these 2 games right here. All bets are off on that last game. You go to Miami, you got confidence. You're on a 4-game winning streak, 3 on the road, and you have an opportunity to go 4-0 on the road. So this is one of those games that I think can catapult you. If you're feeling good coming out of this game, you're going to be feeling good going into tomorrow's game in Toronto, another suspect team, and then it sets up like a potential for a really, really good start to the season.
How do the Kings get that victory? Let's get to our keys to a Kings victory. James, you and I have the same first key, and I think it could be the only key, really, if we wanted to whittle it down to one thing, because this Atlanta Hawks engine starts and ends with Trae Young. You mentioned the stat earlier. He is assisting 48.9% of their made baskets, which that's not right. He is responsible for 48.9% of their assists.
When he's on the floor, yes.
Insane. He's averaging 28 and 11.6. Got to stop Trae Young.
Yeah, I think that you and I, we have our keys. They're the same, but they're a little different.
Okay.
I don't want to see him get loose scoring. Like, if you let Trae Young get hot, this guy can go for 50 without any question. He can start pulling up from all over the place. He has an ability to get on a heater like nobody's business. Like, very, very talented offensive player. And when I look at your key, it's limit his playmaking.
Yeah.
I those are 2 different things, and it's tough because that's the problem. You can try to limit him as a scorer and make him into a more of a playmaker, and then he might set up everybody else and you're in trouble. So I think it's interesting how they have to handle him here, but he is the straw that stirs the drink in Atlanta.
I wouldn't be surprised. I want to get to matchups, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Keegan Murray on Trae Young, especially early.
Okay. I mean, that's possible for sure. I think we're going to see Fox. We're going to see Keegan Murray. We're going to see Keon Ellis. We're going to see Malik Monk, because Malik Monk can just be like an instigator. But I think the key is to just try to limit him. Sometimes shock somebody, send somebody at him, get the ball out of his hands early in the possession.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they can't create without him.
Nope. And that's why I went with playmaking, because if he feels like he has to shoot it 30 times, he'll chuck from deep. He will make shots, but I don't look at Trae Young and go, man, that's just an electric shot maker. Like, he's good. He is a really, really good player.
Mhm.
But if he's not making plays, if he's, I mean, you said it. If he's at 5 assists, they're not getting offense from anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's why I said you gotta limit the playmaking. And if he wants to start chucking from 30 feet, and if he's gonna hit 8 of those, then I think you kind of live with it.
Yeah. Atlanta last season started on an 8-0 run against the Kings in that
8-0,
game,
there it is.
and they were up 21-6.
That's it.
And the Kings came back and beat them.
Yeah. Key number 2.
Let's see. Key number 2 for me. Dictate the pace. This isn't an efficient Hawks team, but they are number 5 in the league in pace, and they're going to want to push the tempo because that's kind of their one trick.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the Kings can rein that in, but force them to play at their pace, is a bad defensive team. You should be able to score at will, and you should be able to score at will how you want to score.
Yeah.
So slow this thing down a little bit, muck it up a little bit, and take away one of their best superpowers, and then I think it'll make the game a lot easier.
I think with Dyson Daniels out, I think Clint Capella as a rim protector is their best defender. And if you're running, he's not going to be able to stay on the floor. That's been the biggest problem for him in his career. And I think the Kings have the personnel to run him off the court. I love that key from you. Key number 2, don't let Zachary Risachet, the rookie, get comfortable.
Yeah.
Just bother him. Just make sure he's just a non-factor today. He can have a fine rookie season. He might be rookie of the year. But just make sure that this isn't the game where he goes for 20, 25. Don't let him get loose.
Yeah, I like that, and I think the Kings have a bunch of players they can throw at Risachet. But I think Kevin Huerter, out of the gate, might be a really really good matchup. And go ahead and see what you can do. Throw weird stuff at him.
Yep, right there with you. Number 3.
This is a battle of the free throw grifters. So you have to learn to defend without fouling, and this is one of those games. The Hawks are first in free throw attempts and free throw makes. Or second in free throw attempts and first in makes, something like that. The Kings are way up there as well. There should be a lot of free throws in this game because that's what both of these teams kind of like to do. But be the better version in this game.
Yeah. Defending without fouling, I think, is going to be a thing all year for Sacramento. Number 3, bodies in the crash zone, man. The Hawks may not be very good, but Clint Capella's a big dude. Onyeka Okongwu is a handful inside. Risachet is 6'8". Jalen Johnson is 6'8",
6'8", 6'9".
6'8". They have a lot of bodies. You gotta be in the crash zone. It can't be Domas by himself tonight. He's obviously going to put in a ton of work and he's going to pull down a ton of boards. But with Trae Young, I mean, you talked about in that playoff series a couple years ago, it's rebound, find the relocate, open 3. That's something the Hawks are very much capable of. So just keep them off the glass.
Yeah, and I would also point out that that Capella is a dominant rebounder against the Kings because he's just really, really long armed, and for whatever reason, he's not a guy that Sabonis can push around. And so Sabonis against shot blocker types usually just bodies them and goes right through them. And Capella is one of the few players that absorbs a hit despite being a shot blocker type. He absorbs a hit and then he's just way longer in the post
stay vertical
than the Kings. And so if you can get him in foul trouble, that's one thing. But just expect for him to have a decent night because typically he does.
What's your matchup of the game?
Let's see. We have matchups of the game. I like Keegan versus Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I think Keegan, that's where I want Keegan in this game, is to go get comfortable playing against a guy that's built around like him. Like we see Keegan have to guard up and guard down. How about you just guard the guy that's your size and has some really nice athleticism, Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, I'm really high on Jalen Johnson. I'm excited to see that matchup if it is those two guys going at it. De'Aaron Fox versus Trae Young is mine. That's 2 point guards, 2 really high level players. I think De'Aaron can guard Trae. I don't think Trae can guard De'Aaron. I would love to see De'Aaron have a game tonight.
He's had big games.
Have a 30 plus, like just take over. He can't guard you, kind of thing. Although Trey's probably going to start on Kevin Huerter, so maybe it's a big Kevin Huerter night. Whoever Trae Young is guarding needs to cook, but that De'Aaron versus Trae Young 1-on-1, I think will be fun.
Yeah.
Prediction?
I got Kings 128, 115.
Yeah, I'm right along the same lines. I've got Kings 134, 113. This might start out a little slow, but I think this is a game where the Kings offense can really get right. The Hawks are beat up. They don't play a ton of defense.
No,
you
they're
got 3
bad.
guys averaging 20 plus. Get somebody to 30. Get me 20 plus from Malik Monk tonight. Have a big game off the bench. I think there's a chance we could be really, really excited with the Kings offense tonight in Atlanta.
Yeah,
I got them
and
scoring a ton.
we talked about this early. They trailed 31-8 last time they played in Atlanta.
31-8?
31-8, and they ended up winning by like 7.
Yeah.
So don't ever give up in this game because they'll let you back in.
Yeah, they 100% will. All right, he's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. This is ESPN 1320. I'm sorry, real quick. I will say that we looked at Portland and we looked at the Jazz. I meant to say this when I was saying 134, 113 as games like, hey, got to go win this one by 20. I'm not going to knock the Kings if you need to win this one, but if it's by 7 again.
Yeah.
Like this is the Hawks are tough. They're pesky for sure. And they're well coached with Quinn Snyder. So just wanted to mention that. All right. That's it. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and this is ESPN 1320. It's Sacramento Sports Center.
Sweet. I believe that De'Aaron Fox has, I don't know how many. I think his first triple-double, I believe, was against Atlanta.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, here it is. A 146-115 drubbing in Fox's second season. Fox, 31 points, 15 assists, 10 rebounds. I was also looking at the 5x5s. Draymond Green missed a 5x5 one time.
Oh, yeah, by points.
Because he had 4.
Yes.
4 points, not 5.
Yes, that was against Memphis. And I think in that game, he had a triple-double without points.
Yeah.
It was steals, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah.
Make a
Wild.
layup.
God. Oh, the Indiana Fever have hired Stephanie White as their new head coach. Thank you, Segura and Bagley. Bronson, I don't know why it's too early to say Merry Christmas. I think it's too early to say Merry Christmas. I'm not sure why we asked that question right now, though. We still have to get through Thanksgiving.
What is someone asking?
If it's too early to say Merry Christmas.
Yes, it's too early to say.
That's a random question. Just random. That's fine. I don't care. I'm okay with randomness. What do we got? Schedule changes.
Ooh.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. They're going to allow games on Christmas Day to be televised by ABC and ESPN, which they're owned by the same people, but that's interesting.
Will they on 2 channels?
Yeah, it's going to be on 2 channels. Spurs, Knicks, and Denver Suns. Nuggets, Suns.
Happening concurrently?
Yeah. It says they're going to be on both.
That's a job, yeah.
Sweet. I don't have to go log. I was just about to go fire up that computer. My bad.
You're out of program 1. Yeah, totally agree with that. Happy 4th, man. I don't classify this as a bold prediction. That's just a
Yeah.
regular prediction.
Yeah, that's just standard.
If
Cool
you
cat.
said bold prediction, Keegan's going for 40. All right, that's
It's-
bold.
Has Keegan had 20 in a game this season? Once?
Yeah, the first night.
Okay.
Yeah, 28 against Minnesota.
That many?
I know he took 10 threes and 17 shots.
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah, 23. 23 and 11. But then 14, 6, and 14.
This is here.
He's not shooting well from 3 yet. 33.3%.
Wait. Did I get this wrong? Oops. No, this isn't right.
What's up, Chatty House? Happy Friday.
Hey, did I miss it? Did the Raiders get flexed to the 1 o'clock window?
Maybe.
Let me see. NFL scores.
Yeah,
I see Raiders at 10 a.m.
Yeah, they play at 10.
on ESPN.
Okay.
Guess the better place to be would be to go to NFL.com.
I'm on NFL game stats and info. And
Yeah, it says 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
All right. 25 seconds. What's up, Jesse? You're out of program 1. You can say hi to the people.
Yeah. What's up, guys?
Did you already say hi to the people?
I did.
That's my bad.
But you told me I was
Trying to
already
figure
out of
well,
program.
I'm trying to figure out. This is wrong.
Oh, what's going on? What do we got going on? Oh, wow. Yeah, no. I see already the problem as soon as
Yeah.
you threw it up.
All right, we're back.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Not just James Ham and Kyle Madsen, Jesse Tapia in the building, producer for D-Lo and KC, joining us as he does every single Friday for a little Mad Props.
It's facts. It's kind of wild. We just walk in here like, hey, I'm walking into work. Let me go hop on the radio real quick.
Yeah, man.
It's a wild
You
job.
do that. You just get here, you set your stuff down, and then you walk in.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
It is
I enjoy this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Shout out to you guys. Dude, I told you the vibes are up today.
Yeah.
Mad Props. So typically we'll do the 49er game and then a Kings game from the weekend. No 49ers this week though. So we're going Raiders. We're going Raiders against Bengals, which you can catch kickoff 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 1320. We're going Raiders versus Bengals and then the Kings game tonight. So this is tonight's Kings game against the Atlanta Hawks and the Raider game on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Do you remember the little side bet wage thing we made earlier
Oh, yeah,
this
I
season
lost.
with the Raiders and the Bengals?
No.
Remember we were throwing teams out the club, and I was like, "Yeah, we keep the Raiders in here, and we throw the Bengals out." And we're like, "All right, we'll monitor these teams or whatever." That's the season. Yeah. So this is a big game right here.
Oh, loser leaves town match?
It might be, yeah.
We'll go through. We got some
Yeah.
loser leaves town matches for sure. We'll go through those. But let's get to Mad Props first. 2 games, 2 props. Which number's higher? Let's let the voice guy describe it.
It's time for Mad Props. 2 games, 2 props. Which number will be
I
higher?
say?
That's for Kyle and James to decide. Here's Mad Props.
All right, the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The 2-6 Raiders against the 3-5 Bengals. No T. Higgins for the Bengals.
Ooh.
They've struggled without T. Higgins this year. And then we've got the Kings facing the Hawks. So here we go. Number 1, we'll start with you, James. Gardner Minshew passing yards or total points in Kings versus Hawks.
Total points, Kings Hawks.
Okay, that was
I think
easy.
250. 250 would be my number.
Yeah, you've got 243
Okay.
is the number on your official prediction on our
That's
on
true.
our sheet
It
of
is.
paper here. So 243, James or Jesse.
Yeah, I'll go with James. I'm gonna go Kings Hawks points right here. I can imagine the Kings scoring like 120 plus. Hawks get around 110 or something like that.
You know what? I'll ride with my guy Gardner Minshew. I'll do it for the bit.
That's tough. That's your boy.
Why not? That's going to be my boy this week.
Uh-oh.
I think this is just this is based solely on vibes. This is no data. This is the kind of game they went in and beat Baltimore in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
This is just one of those games where, hey, the Bengals are trying to stick around, and then Gardner Minshew goes in and lights them up for 4 touchdowns.
Figure he has to have one good game this season.
It's gonna.
Like at some point, it's got to happen.
Riding with my guy Gardner Minshew. Number 2, Jesse. Brock Bowers catches or Keegan Murray made field goals. Jacoby Myers is back this week, it looks like.
I'm going to go. This is a tough one. I think I'm going to go Keegan Murray made field goals.
James?
What is it? Catches or targets? Catches.
I can see Keegan had like 9 shots or whatever.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go Jacoby Myers.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said a second name. Brock Bowers.
Oh, Brock Bowers
is the name we're looking for.
Bowers. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna go Brock Bowers.
All right, very good. I think I'm going to go that same direction. I don't trust Keegan Murray right now, or quite yet, to reliably go get like 8-9 buckets.
Yeah, and I think Brock Bowers will have 8 or 9 catches.
Yeah, that's the
right
number
there.
I have in my head.
Uh-huh.
So maybe Keegan goes off, but we had a bold prediction that he's going to score 20.
Wow.
Yeah, but he he could score 20 and do that on
6.
5 or 6 makes. Yeah. Number 3, James. Max Crosby pressures or Kevin Huerter 3-point attempts.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Kevin Huerter because he's back in the ATL.
Yeah, man.
Where it all started.
I'm rocking with you on this because I think they're going to try and guard him with Trae Young. And I think the Kings are going to run Trae Young through a bunch of screens, and Kevin Huerter is going to have a lot of wide open looks. Jesse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go Kevin Huerter too. Kevin Huerter looks like he's starting to play a little bit better each game. So.
Yeah, this might be like a Kevin Huerter gets hot and hits like 6 of 11.
Is Kevin going for 20? Is that a bold prediction?
Oh.
No.
That's
a little spicy. I wouldn't call it bold though.
Okay.
He makes what is that? 5 threes and he's at 15.
Yeah.
Need a couple other buckets. Yeah, no, it's not bold. No.
Just checking the temp.
Jesse, Trey Tucker, the wide receiver, Trey Tucker receiving yards, or Malik Monk points, rebounds, and assists.
I don't feel great about this one at all. I'm gonna go. Let's go Trey Tucker. I haven't picked a football one yet. I'll go Trey Tucker receiving yards.
Love that. Love the reasoning, James.
I will also go Trey Tucker, and not because I haven't picked football, because I think Trey Tucker will probably end up with like 50-something yards.
You have picked football though.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have 90 or 18.
Yeah.
Like he's been very feast or famine this year.
Malik Monk let me down last week, so
yeah, that's what Malik Monk just let me down in prize picks. But like it feels like we're gonna get the 23-point, 6-assist game from Malik at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do it today.
No, I'm not doing it today. I've already done one for the sake of the bit. That's my limit. I'm going with Trey Tucker just because when in doubt, go with the ceiling. And the ceiling, I think, for Malik is in the 30 range.
Yeah.
I think the ceiling for Trey Tucker is in that 90-plus range.
The ceiling is the roof.
The ceiling is the roof.
Jordan.
I've heard that. James Ham, Daniel Carlson's longest made field goal for the Raiders, or Domantas Sabonis points, rebounds, and assists.
Oh, dang. This is a tough one. Let me see.
That's the goal of the bit.
Yeah.
If they were all easy, that'd be lame.
I'm going to go Carlson.
Yeah. Jesse?
I'm going to go Danny Carlson, too.
Are we all? Okay, fine. I'll pick, for the sake of the bit.
We don't all have the same answers, do we?
Yeah, we all went Raiders.
Well, not for like
On
this
that one.
specific question, but like, yeah, for that one, yeah. But I mean, like all of our answers vary, like for this whole thing.
We've had
can go different.
2 other ones in a row here where we all picked the same. This would be 3 in a row where we're all on the same train.
I don't know.
No.
What do you want me to
I think the Bengals.
Do you want us to manufacture like
I think
debate or something like first
no,
take?
I've got yes. You don't know what you're talking about. Gardner Minshew is going to light these dudes up. He's going to have. We thought he had Steve Spagnuolo in a blender. Lou Anarumo doesn't know what's about to hit him. Gardner Minshew is going to throw for 350 yards. He's going to throw for 4 touchdowns. And Daniel Carlson's going to sit his ass on the bench all day, except to come out and kick extra points. I don't think he's going to kick a field goal. I don't think he's going to have to make a field goal. Give me Domas.
Well, I disagree.
Erroneous.
It's blasphemous.
I probably shouldn't ask this question, but I'm going to ask it.
Right. Oh, I thought you were really going to ask.
That's a D-Lo and KC deep cut from yesterday.
Yeah,
Hopefully you were listening. Last one, Jesse. Raiders total points or DeMar DeRozan total points?
This one feels a little disrespectful. I'm going to go DeMar DeRozan total points.
Why is this disrespectful?
Because they're like, come on, you're a football team. Put up 25 points like a normal football team, but they can't. They're probably going to put up like 20, 21, maybe on a good day. I'll go DeMar DeRozan.
James?
I, too, am going to go DeMar because I think he's going to just tear up Reese.
And the disrespect of Gardner Minshew in this Raiders offense continues. No. I'm right. No, I'm doing it for the bit. I'm committed. I need the Raiders to score like 50 points.
Your winning percentage in this game is just in the trash.
It is.
It's just all for the sake of the bit.
It is. I am rocking with the Raiders offense this weekend in Cincinnati for some reason.
Big Gardner Minshew guy this
Big
week.
Gardner Minshew guy. You owe me $1 if he lights him up.
That's fair. You know what? That's fair.
We do get to tack on an extra win this week, by the way. Jesse and I do. Because we had our little side prop with whether the Chiefs or the Boston Celtics would lose first. And the Celtics lost in overtime to the Pacers the other night. I believe 135-133 was the final.
Around there.
So Boston has lost.
It's
Kansas
over.
City hung on to beat the Las Vegas Raiders last week. So Jesse and I will get an extra point this week.
There we go.
Shout out to
Boo.
us.
I knew those damn Celtics couldn't do it.
Boo, Celtics.
This is just the reason I wrote this down before the show. This Raiders-Bengals game feels like the kind of game that the Raiders are going to go win.
Why?
Because they went into Kansas City and won a game on Christmas last year. They went in to Baltimore and beat the Ravens.
That was like a whole month ago.
In week
though.
2.
That was when there was hope.
This is one, dude.
That was
this
when
is
there was
just- it's-
belief.
There shouldn't have been any hope or belief last year, and there was.
Yeah, but
this is all vibes.
they always have that weird Kansas City game, though. And like looking at it this week, the Bengals are kind of like trying to save their season the way they've been talking and all that. The Raiders, like we're already
The
at the
Raiders are
point
trying
where,
to save their season too. They're 2-6.
brother, season's gone. Like leave it be. We've got like Gardner Minshew's a starter, and we already went to the backup. Like you're here by accident, by injury.
Yeah,
You're not even supposed to be starting. Like I
would
love to
he's
believe in
gonna
him,
he's
but-
gonna secure that starting job with a huge game this weekend. Can't wait.
I vouched for them earlier in the season, and they made me look like fools.
Now Daniel Carlson gonna have a boring ass day. Raiders Bengals is a loser leaves town match. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
the Raiders might already be out of town.
yeah.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
they're in the town over. They're just like waiting for the Bengals, I guess. We bought you a ticket. If you want to use it, go ahead. But
What about Chargers Browns?
as far as loser leaves town,
Yeah, Chargers are 4-3, Browns 2-6.
I don't like lose. No, I don't think it's loser leaves town. Browns are done. Chargers, if they lose, they're still alive for the wild card and all that.
Okay. What about you, James?
I
think my issue with the Chargers is if they're losing to the Browns, it's like,
They're going to be around 500 at the end of the season.
I just say, but the Browns are like unpredictable at this point because we have no idea what Jameis Winston's going to do. And, they just got Chubb back. There's a possibility like 3 weeks into Nick Chubb being on the field that like this looks better. So I don't know. The Browns defense is they've been waiting for some help on the offensive side. So they're not just like playing the entire game. So I do think that there's a possibility that the Browns can recover a little bit. I don't know.
do you guys remember the Leroy Jenkins video?
Yes, I love that video.
Did that land in your
I don't know.
purview of internet culture?
I
So-
don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know how widespread like the old internet things are.
If you were in like middle school and high school, probably around that time, you've seen it. If not, you probably didn't see it.
It's World of Warcraft, and they're like, it's all staged, but they're playing World of Warcraft, and they're going over all this, like, this is our chance of survival, this and that, da-da-da-da, like, and this one guy just goes, time's up, guys, let's go, Leroy Jenkins. It just goes running in, and they all die because Leroy just ran in like a bat out of hell.
Okay.
That's how I feel watching Jameis Winston play football.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Hey, it might work, it might not, but he's gonna do it.
Hey, Jameis, we're gonna run the ball right here or whatever. Nah, James like, nah, Leroy Jenkins.
No, we're
yeah.
checking out of that. I'm going deep. Is it triple
That's
coverage?
perfect.
I'm committed. Let's go. That's how Jameis Winston feels to me. So if the Chargers lose this game, maybe they don't have to leave town, but I just don't believe in them. But you go into Cleveland, you dominate this game, you get to 5-3. Like, okay, hey, maybe they're going to turn it around here in November. Maybe.
I'm out.
All right,
I'm
that's
out.
fine. Other loser leaves town matches. This I'm going to combine this with games that matter for the 49ers who aren't playing this week. Cowboys Falcons, not loser leaves town.
Cowboys, Falcons, not. I think that is.
Falcons are leading the NFC South.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
They're 5-3.
Yeah, all right, yeah. I don't.
But
But
to
if you
me-
lose to Dallas,
Yeah, I think that was my whole argument with the Chargers and the Browns. I think if you're the 49ers, you want Dallas to lose.
it's not loser leaves town. It's not.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
But if you're the 49ers, you want Dallas to lose, right?
Yeah.
Gain separation, just
I
get another
guess.
team
Honestly,
out
I
of
don't
the
even know if
paint.
you're kind of worried about that at this point.
I think
Yeah,
Dallas
they're
is
3-4.
cooked.
They're I do too, but you want to see them lose and just.
Yeah.
I think the more separation you can gain, like that's the thing is there's this just clump of teams in the NFC. There's like 12 teams that could realistically make the playoffs.
The way I see it is like you're only going to get one team out of the NFC West. I think that makes the playoffs.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's probably right.
Yeah.
And it might be the Rams, by the way. The Rams, despite
You're back
all of
on the
this-
Rams?
dude. Yeah, despite all of what's happened with them, they're 3-4, and if they beat the Seahawks this weekend and the Cardinals lose to the Bears, the Rams are number 1 in the NFC West.
They're low key like the Steelers of the NFC. They're just generally competitive and always good. Like Tomlin's always got
Yeah.
them above 500, but no matter what, like McVay's always going to be around. I feel.
Yeah, they've had a couple of
They've had
down
a weird
years,
year,
but
yeah.
but the fact that they're still 3-4 with all their injuries, that's crazy. Speaking of Bears Cardinals, loser leaves town.
Nah, because
Okay.
the Cardinals lose, they're still in it for the NFC West.
The NFC West is going to be a dogfight the rest of
The
the
Bears, that hurt my heart last week for them.
That was tough.
That was low key. Like you can do whatever you want the rest of the season, but that's tough.
I think they're going to be in it.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the Bears this week.
Mm.
Their schedule has not been super hard. Let's get to they beat Tennessee. Then they lost to Houston and Indianapolis. They beat the Rams before the Rams got healthy. That's a nice little win. They beat the heck out of the Panthers. They beat the heck out of the Jags is that the London game?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They had a bye week, and then they go lose in heartbreaking fashion to the Commanders. We're going to learn a lot here when they play Arizona. They get Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, Green Bay.
We're gonna learn
They're-
if they're actually a good
they're
team.
done.
We're gonna learn if they're actually good, I guess.
That's such a brutal schedule.
Yeah, you're probably right. Loser leaves town, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
because of
the
that
only-
schedule. I mean, that's just
The only thing with the Cardinals is I don't think anyone in the NFC West is going to fully like separate and run away. Like it's always all year going to be like 10-7 probably wins that division.
probably.
And Arizona has Chicago, then the Jets, then their bye week, then Seattle, Minnesota, Seattle, New England, Carolina, Rams, Niners. They're going to be in it. They're going to be around.
Yeah.
So I don't think they leave town. But obviously, if you're a 49er fan, you're rooting for the Cardinals to lose.
Yeah.
That's an easy one. Jags at Eagles. I don't think this is loser leaves town. But I do think if you're San Francisco, you need to see the Eagles lose.
Eagles starting to heat up.
Yeah,
They're starting to play
exactly.
some good football.
Yeah, if they lose to Jacksonville, it could derail the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the vibes seem like they're good again.
And Jacksonville?
Defense is playing better.
No,
No,
Philly.
in Philly.
Okay, yeah. Jacksonville is shot.
No, they're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't.
Doug
yeah,
Peterson's
this
getting
is not-
fired at the end of the year, so
Yeah, Doug Peterson might get fired at the end of this week.
Yeah.
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 No, this was not a Jags thing. This is the
Yeah.
Eagles are 5-2.
Eagles are starting to turn it up. I can't buy into Nick Sirianni, but for the players on that team, like I think they're starting to play well.
I'm with you.
Well, they
You
got
didn't see 'em
healthy
lose to the
too.
Jags though.
Their receivers got healthy. They weren't healthy early.
Lions at Packers is going to be a super fun game.
NFC Championship preview.
I think it is.
That's where I'm at right now with these two teams. I think that'll be the two teams in the NFC Championship this year.
Yeah,
of
these are
right
just to me. These are the two clear-cut best teams.
The Packers are a very
the-
good
in the
football team, I
conference.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Packers
mean,
are going to be around for a few years.
I think it can change pretty quickly, but the Packers have so many weapons.
Their defense is also awesome. I know.
Yeah,
we
nobody
talk-
talks about that.
Yeah, we talk like and I mean it's offense drives the conversation, right?
Mhm.
It's Jordan Love, it's Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks and
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. in the
Josh
backfield.
Jacobs, Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft. Like, that's just a really good group. Their defense has been awesome too, which is why I think they can go in this game against the Lions and they can give him a little run at Lambeau.
Jordan Love, low-key struggles to stay healthy.
Yeah. That injury last week was weird.
He gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, just like a groin injury, and he's just down. It's like, what happened?
Yeah, and you were expecting him to miss time, but sounds like he's going to play. Yeah.
I wanted to do a thing about which team do you want to see lose if you're the Niners, but I don't think it matters. They're both in such a higher class right now. I just don't.
Oh, as far as that game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Niners
It's
aren't
just
on the
not
same
even
tier right now.
Yeah.
You got to worry about the division at that point.
Rams Seahawks. Loser leaves town.
For the Rams, maybe?
Yeah, the Rams are 3-4.
If you're
Seahawks
under
4-4.
500, like these games matter. Like every game matters at this point. 'Cause
Yeah.
at this point, that you can't just count on anything going forward.
Well, yeah, and they'd have to finish like 7-2.
Yeah.
And that ain't happening.
I can see it for the
probably.
Rams. Seahawks are what? 4-4?
4-4.
4-4. Yeah.
And they've been
don't-
struggling. They started 3-0.
I just don't love them.
Is Puka playing this week? I saw he got hurt at practice, hurt his knee.
I don't think Puka's playing.
Yeah, we didn't have an update yet. Yeah, but it doesn't look good.
That game doesn't. I guess if the 49ers probably want to see the Rams lose, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be in third place no matter what. No matter
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah. If you
this
you,
week the Niners are in third place in the West.
I figure if you're the 49ers, you probably want to see your teams take themselves out of it.
Yeah.
'Cause if the Seahawks lose, they're still there. But if
Exactly.
the Rams lose, it's all right. Yeah. Now we
Yeah.
got some ground.
Get a
to
little
build.
separation. Last one here. Colts at Vikings. Not a loser leaves town.
It's not, but the Vikings need to win this game.
The Vikings need
Yeah,
this one.
because now like I've been all pro Vikings. Yeah, Sam
Me
Darnold.
too, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Now it's
Mhm.
like, all right, like come on, pick it up now.
If you're losing to the Colts and Joe Flacco at home, you're out of the Super Bowl contender conversation for me. They're still there for me because I think their defense is still really good. I believe in Kevin O'Connell. I believe in their offensive weapons. But if they drop this one,
Come on, Sammy.
Yeah, but you know what? It could be like, you remember the Niners had that stretch last year where they lost 3 in a row. It could just be one of those where they're just like a little staggered, and you lost one bad game, but then a couple that you probably should have won. I don't know.
Vikings lost last week.
Yeah, they
Mhm,
lost to the Rams.
by 10.
Have they lost 2 in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get this game this week.
Yeah, but after this, they get Jags, Titans, Bears. It's their next 3.
Cardinals, Falcons, Bears. That's not great. Seattle. Like the rest of their schedule is pretty soft.
You got to get this one though.
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe in Minnesota anymore if they lose this week. And then Bucks Chiefs. That is going to be a rock fight, dude.
I'm out on the Bucks till Mike Evans is healthy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're the Niners, you want to see them lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need the NFC team to go down.
I just don't know who's going to catch the ball. That's tough.
Kate Otten.
That's it.
That's all I got.
Maybe some Bucky Irving in the passing game.
Yeah.
I really thought the Bucks were gonna be able to do something this year too before Godwin was out for the year. And I mean Evans, maybe they still can when he's back healthy, but
Yeah, it's tough.
I saw them making a run.
Sorry, I'm counting 15.
We got no
Alright,
games
that's
today,
fine.
probably about 4 minutes out.
What?
Probably out at 11:56 today, I'm assuming.
No, it's going to be like 55. I'm just going to go 55 and cross my fingers. That's
Alright.
kind of what I'm doing because I
That's
can't
what we do here.
count. This is why there's usually a third person to do all this stuff. But that's fine. That's fine. I didn't get to count before the show, which is what I typically do. Jesse, what do you guys got coming up on D'Lo and Casey?
Kings Hawks. You're gonna be on the show today. We got Eddie Gonzalez. Are you on today?
Between 2 and 3.
All right, James between 2 and 3. Just a lot of Kings, and it's Friday, so who
Is it
knows?
just? I haven't
Who
seen D'Lo.
knows?
Is it just Casey?
I don't know. I just show up, bro. I'm in the studio. We're good. Whoever's in the seat, perfect. Let's go.
The producer of D'Lo and Casey.
Just as long as someone's talking and we're on the radio, we're good.
we're good.
I don't need to know anything else.
Well, Kenny Garraway is definitely here, and he looks dashing. So we'll get Kenny in here to take you up to 4 o'clock and take you into the weekend. I'm James Ham. That's Kyle Madsen. Salute to Jesse Tapia. Thanks for dropping in as you do every Friday for Mad Props. What?
You just said I'm James Ham, and that's Kyle Madsen and pointed at me.
He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen.
We're people. What do you want? It's
we
1320.
dressed up as D'Lo and Casey yesterday. I'm all thrown off. We'll be back on Monday at 10
Allegedly.
in some order. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Drink water and be nice to people this weekend. Bye.